All right. What's up? So the stars have aligned to the point where my skin is not too fucked up at the moment. Um, there's nobody home except me. It's daytime. So there's light. And I'm like, anyway, I don't know. So I'm just gonna like talk about stuff just because it's a good time to talk about stuff. So you might ask, what stuff, Rowan? What is there even to talk about? And I would say, that's a good question. All right, so what is there to talk about? Well, I just seen this Jimmy Dore video about Dave Chappelle and how, like they tried to smear him and say he was against affordable housing. And I think that's probably because he defended Rogan. Did he defend Rogan? Shit, I better research my research here. Um, something Chappelle. Oh, uh, Rogan. I'm guessing he defended Rogan because he would. And that's kind of sounds familiar. Oh, these fucking cunts. All right, Silicon Valley has like my laptop particularly like restricted from doing anything, but it's supposedly just from glitches, but somehow it's just my laptop that has glitched out in every possible way, so nothing works on it. So let me just type this again now. Oh, I know. I type in a search and it doesn't even give me the results. They just say reinstall Chrome to stay secure. You're using an older version of Chrome. Yeah, I know this laptop, they won't let me download a new fucking Chrome. So, and then they just delete everything I searched, so I gotta type it again. Thanks, Google, you fucking Fed scum. Fucking Nazi trash. Alright, so like Rogan, Chappelle. I'm guessing that's like what happened. I mean, Dave Chappelle and Joe Rogan tickets. It looks like they had shows together. No. Oh, why Dave Chappelle is silent about Joe Rogan. That maybe they were just scared that he was not gonna stay silent. I mean, Rogan obviously defended Chappelle, but Chappelle is cucked on COVID. Chappelle's not really. I mean, as far as I know, I think he's like vaxxed to the max. So, um, I mean, Chappelle is great on challenging the trans thing just because he's like a regular comedian from like 1990s, which means, you know, he's well afoul of the current strictures on what you're allowed to say without getting canceled off the internet and the planet. Um, I mean, of course, yeah, he's uncancelable, I guess, but is he uncancelable? He's not really uncancelable. He might be uncancelable by some public campaign, but the fact he keeps his mouth shut and toes the line on COVID and vaccines tells me he knows he's still cancelable on another level. Like they will, like the powers that be will cancel his ass if he really like stands up to them. And that's I don't know. That's what I'm guessing. Otherwise, he's just an idiot or whatever. Like just on that issue, at least he's totally deluded, or at least last I seen him talk about it, and I haven't heard any update. Who knows? Hopefully I'm wrong. Let me see. Chappelle, but I'm sure if he said one thing about it. but that's the thing. It's like people get so paranoid, like, because I was thinking like if he says one thing about the vaccines, then he's gonna think like, oh, this is I'm already like in a corner. I don't want to give more leverage to my enemies. So then you people become scumbags based on um that reasoning. They're like, well, if I did this good thing or that good thing, it would give leverage to my enemies. So I'll just basically act like my enemies. Chill for them. I don't know. Yeah, it's like, right? Or maybe he just doesn't know shit about it and he's just like thinks anyway, so whatever. But apparently he was smeared with this. They said he was trying to block affordable housing, and I was skeptical, so I read the whole article, even the one that claimed that. And at the bottom of the article, it basically said it's not clear that it actually was about affordable housing. Like this whole fucking article, like a good size article, like the headline is like Chappelle blocks affordable housing. And then I read and I read and read. And like the last line is like, it's not clear it was actually because of the affordable housing. I'm like, you fucks. Or maybe it even said it was like not connected to that, or I don't know. Anyway, so that's some shit. I mean, it's good though that he does stand up against the trans. I mean, you could say everybody has their lane or something, maybe Dave Chappelle is just the guy who has balls when it comes to that, but doesn't have balls when it comes to like some other things, you know, like um like Jimmy Dore, you could say like has balls when it comes to like taking on the mandates and at least like talking about the vaccine safety and stuff, but then but he's not really talking about the trans issue the way, he's kind of staying away from that third rail. Like it's like a lot of people they choose their third rails, which is fine. Um uh to an extent. I mean, like, sorry, my cat's wigging out. I have to go like pacify this freaking psycho. What the fuck do you want? He just wants to go outside. Go. Yeah, fuck. Alright, wait, I should get my mail. I guess. Right now, I'll do it later with shoes. With shoes. Alright, so I'm a little baked. Just woke up recently, got some food, smoked a bowl, watched a Jimmy Dore video, and it's like I have to watch Jimmy Dore videos now because like at least it gives me uh some sense of, I mean, that's almost like my family that I chose, even if there's, ways in which I fully disagree with Jimmy Dore. But at the same time, I feel like even in the ways that I fully disagree with Jimmy Dore, I'm still more likely to find people that do agree with me on that shit in his audience. Like his audience is more based than him. Like I'm not saying he's not based, but I'm saying like his audience is more based. Like his audience is more legit than he is. Um, and I think it's his audience that played a role in like pulling him to you know to be like how uh I mean just the whole way, like the whole Bernie movement and Occupy, it's been like people driven, it's not one of these things where like with how Hollywood is orchestrated or the movie industry or the music industry where like some big company just comes out with this is the new thing and it's blasted everywhere and people are like, okay, that's the new thing. I mean, there's some of that, obviously like Occupy itself, like the exact form it took was uh launched by specific people, like launched by adbusters and whoever was in the general assemblies and whatever. um but that's kind of a lot of that was the stupidest parts of Occupy. Like the best parts of Occupy was just the spontaneity of just people being like, shit's fucked up. Like that was like a sign that a lot of people had is just like shit is fucked up and needs to change or something, or I don't know. And so like, but those were like, and even Occupy was pretty uh small in a lot of ways compared to, like, it was small compared to the Bernie movement, I guess. But like all these things, I consider that, probably in many ways, like Jimmy is a part of both of those and certainly was a part of the Bernie movement, especially in the way that his career developed. So like, so it's like it was never like a movement of leaders, like, I mean, it's a movement of leaders, but literally like where everybody's a leader, like, especially like, certainly like with Occupy and with Bernie in the early days, it was like such a radical thing and such a departure that anybody who was just had the like spine to like, and the conscience and the heart and to do it, like, was already like a leader. That's my opinion. Like, you're not gonna look, it's not a movement where there's some leader that pops out and looks down on like all the other people, like the followers, and they're like, okay, now you guys are, dependent on me and I am the creator of all, or something. Like, no, it's like we're all fully dependent on each other, especially the smaller your numbers are, the more you're all dependent on each other. And but even as it grew, it grew because it was people driven, it was like social media. I know everybody loves to hate on social media. um I mean, the worst thing about social media is just that the feds snoop on it, but they snoop on the phones too. I mean, they've been snooping on letters and they've been snooping on all communications since, you know, since they existed. But like on the internet, like people, with Occupy, we turned Facebook into what it is in many ways now, what they want to shut down, of course, which is a place to organize a revolution. And like, obviously you're not like talking about as much illegal, you're not like planning out like direct actions necessarily on the internet, but you're organizing the people, like you're organizing and you're educating. And it's like, I just find that the people, like, there's so many people who talk shit about the internet, who are even on the internet and even make use of it. And I don't know if it's Matt Taibbi or, there's just so many talking heads that are just inclined to just trash social media and the internet. But it's like, how fucking stupid are they? Like, they don't understand how information works. Like, you're mad that there's a way that we can share information with each other. Uh, then you don't understand how politics works. You don't understand that the ability to share information is at the heart of political power, um, and at the heart of political development, and at the heart of social development. So like, so that's why I think Jimmy Dore, he's one of those who is actually one of us in a sense, like there's all these people who saw the wave coming, and they either position themselves as leaders, like how Cenk Uygur or whatever, and Anna Kasparian and people like that, um, position themselves as leaders of this movement. Uh, and then there's some other people that kind of like saw the wave coming and they wanted to ride on it, but they had no real like they just were riding on this wave. Like they were not really like ideologically, like they didn't really care that much ideology. Like, because I know, because a lot of those people a lot of the people that were supposedly all rah rah Bernie, and then now they're rah rah Biden. I like I don't know how the fuck that happened. I don't know even how you could have Bernie's name in your mouth and then have Biden's name in your mouth. This like fucking unless the but that's what I'm thinking. Those people were probably fake the whole way. Like they probably joined onto it just because it was a thing. They're like, "Oh, weird. I guess we're." And those were the people who were always those were the people, or maybe I don't know. I would guess that those are some of the people that kept sharing incessantly the memes uh that said like Bernie is, oh no, democratic socialism is not socialism. The fucking and honestly like so those were the shitlib, basically shitlib burners posting those. But like it didn't get contradicted because like the edgy, college lefties agree with that. They agree that like to them a term like democratic socialism, which Bernie just means literally democracy and socialism, they take it to mean some very specific European parliamentarian jargon. And so they're like, well, that's technically not socialism because in the parliamentarian European modern jargon, when you just say socialism alone, it means something different. But that's stupid. The words themselves, to say it's democratic socialism, but it's not socialism. Again, it's like, I feel like God bless if there's people that really are as stupid as all this dialogue and rhetoric is, but they had to be like sidelined or at least ignored to an extent. If we keep like falling to the stupidest denominator on every issue, we will never get anywhere. Like, God bless them, let them be how they are, but stop fucking like, um, stupid nonsense should just be ignored and not like treated like it's reasonable. And, that's so much of politics is just like giving, just utter nonsense. Like there's so many things that you could find that the average um political politically active, person on social media or in general, like of the things they're saying, there's so much of it that's just such, for a lot of people, there's so much just patent nonsense that goes unchecked because it's like, well, yeah, that's our nonsense that our side says, or like, there just isn't the adherence to and maybe there will just always be people who spew nonsense, but I think they should just be ignored at a certain point. Like we shouldn't always like be so preoccupied with whatever is the stupidest, most mainstream, most cucked, like shill, like brainworm at any given moment, because we should just cringe at it and keep scrolling or just keep walking or whatever. Um, you know, like anyway, so what's going on? The truckers are doing their thing. Feel like a kinship because they were kind of like the trucker thing was really going strong, like, or at first was kind of peaking around my birthday, like January 29th. And since I was born in Vermont, like I was born like basically near there, like Vermont is obviously it's on the Quebec border and it's like the same like you know, longitude, I guess, as or latitude. Yeah, it's the same latitude as uh most of inhabited Canada. Or honestly, like Vermont is probably further north than most Canadians are. Most Canadians live in like Toronto and like the southernest parts. But anyway, so like they're kind of my people, the maple leaf, like that's like Vermont and Canada. And like my parents, like they did they made like maple syrup, you know, like when they lived in Vermont, they were like homesteaders there. And so yeah, there's some feeling of kinship through that, but like just I mean, it's like there's on so many levels there's strength in this. I mean, it's like some people say as the trucker thing, like is that a psyop? Is that a controlled opposition? Obviously, like most of the people involved in it are legit. Like if somebody behind the idea is somehow nefarious, who knows? But it seems like the kind of idea that um, any number of people might have had or might have already had, and certainly millions of people supported it as soon as they heard of it. So um, it could be very spontaneous. Um, but like also the fact that they're doing it now, like in the dead of winter, you know, like because I mean the coldest. This is basically like the coldest time of winter is like late January and probably yeah I would think like uh late January, early February, and or maybe just throughout February. Feb, Feb, February. Feb. Why am I calling it February? February. Whatever. Anyway, quiet. Like, leave me alone. Anyway, like, it's happens in, like, it's so fucking cold there, you know? Like, it's so cold, and it literally even just there was like a whole like snowstorm and shit. Like, I think basically during it, like a blizzard, fucking blizzard. Like, cause I was born in a blizzard, like in Vermont in 1981. And so this is like a blizzard. Yeah, these dudes are like, I mean, like they're driving through a blizzard, which is like, or they were like driving through a blizzard, which is pretty fucking hard for anybody. But driving, I'm sure like a big ass semi or whatever through a blizzard is much harder than just driving your little Honda or whatever. So it's basically like, you know, the degree of like forklift certification times 1,000 or something, you know, like the level of skill that these people are like having to I mean just and then just the strength to like deal with the fucking and the yeah, I guess the skill and the intelligence to deal with the cold. um you know, and they're outside a lot of the day, apparently. Like they spend their time, you know, like outside their trucks hanging out, and then all these other people that come out, you know, all these hardy Canadians coming out into the freezingness and partying it up. And so, you know, I hope there's not people getting like hypothermia or some shit, but like I mean, I heard they actually like the truckers gave their own coat and gloves or something to some guy that was like cold, who was telling them off, like some SJW like uh you know, crazy ass troll that was like screaming at them, and they're like, dude, you look cold, like here, just put this on. And then he just like left and was all sheepish, I don't know what, something like that. um so yeah, the fact they're doing this in, I mean, it gives it a, that's undeniable. It gives it a strength that it wouldn't have, couldn't really have anywhere else, you know. I mean, because Canada too is like, Canada basically goes all the way up to like the North Pole, and you know, like the north is like the the top of Canada, just like, or the northernmost part of Canada, just like the northernmost part of Alaska, is basically, you know, the North Pole. Like that's the basically the furthest latitude there is. So so I mean, of course they're not in that part, they're in like further southern part, but still, like to have like such a huge expanse of continent that's not all like broken up and weird the way like Scandinavia is or whatever, but like just this solid, like freezing ass chunk of continent that you can uh stage this massive display of like defiance and bravery and fortitude and determination and to me it's like, and there's something even like sometimes the cold itself can be like invigorating and refreshing. It can be mentally invigorating because like heat sometimes can be enervating or whatever, like can hamper thought or whatever, whereas cold is doesn't really have that effect as much unless you got like a complete fucking brain freeze or something. So, and just like cold air is like more pure, I think. Like the oxygen, if you just breathe like cold oxygen, I think it's much more pure compared to like ozonated or like warm air. Um so I don't know. There's just so many things that make this that that like add to the beauty of this event. And you know I mean, I'm like not always great with the cold, so I don't know if I would be able to hack it there. I would be, if I was a trucker, I'd probably just be spending the whole time, most of the time in my truck. Um, but I just, have so much respect for all those people. And I mean, you could say like if the one idea of like how it could be a psyop is that they could use it to shut down the supply chain. But I mean, in the case of Canada, they're already like having these vax passports. That's the reason these truckers are doing it. They're not just like a bunch of radicals or whatever. I mean, maybe they are, but like they're not just doing this just on principle. It's like they're being forced to like get vaccinated or else they can't I think it's they can't go between provinces, which is like probably most of their business, driving from province to province. So and they say like 20%, I believe, of the truckers are unvaccinated. But then you don't know like if the passport system, it probably like demands a booster at some point, and so then that number would probably grow. And who knows if that number might already be like undercounted. But so at the end of the day, like it's gonna cause a supply chain issue anyway. Like the mandates are causing the supply chain issue, and it's just a question of whether, you know, whether we do it on our terms or their terms. Like forget who, the Australian guy that's in like Mexico or something right now, like he was saying basically exactly that, like that even though like sure maybe there's some kind of psyops involved, but at the end of the day this is a good idea. It's like they're already shutting it down with these, they're already like forcing all these truckers to like get vaccinated or quit, which a lot of them would quit. And so better to do it on our terms than on the government's terms. And you know I guess I was hearing that California legislature, they're talking about a statewide employee mandate. So I guess we'd see if they actually do that. Um, and if it actually really went through and was really enforced, it would just mean like everybody would move. Everybody would leave California except like the people who are either diehard, like brain dead, brainwashed, or just people who can't afford to or are too attached to this or that. But like, you know, I would fight it to the last, I think, but I would definitely not ever submit. Anyway,